quantum means that everything is energy. And if you want to master your life, master your health, master your mind, master your business, master your finances and your relationships and so on, we have to, as I say, understand that
Hmm.
everything is energy and that all these different areas of life are unique expressions of ourself. And so if we then want to change them, we change our energy. And then we go from, as I say, fear to love,
Right,
guilt to gratitude, shame to
right.
self-worth, grief to grace. And once we go through these alchemical process of emotional healing, we will recognize that we don't have to fix our relationship. We just have to learn to love ourselves, the world, and everything and everyone else more than we are healing our relationships. So it's not pointing fingers saying you are doing this. No, if I can open up my heart to its fullest capacity, everything will be healed because that external is a reflection, projection, or a mirror of me and my own state of consciousness. So that's my version of quantum, is that everything is energy. Change your energy, change your life.
Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome to Take Back Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Michael B. Beckwith, the founder of the Agape International Spiritual Center. And every week, I have the privilege and the honor to have wonderful dialogue, wonderful conversation, wonderful heart-to-heart connection with individuals who are making a mighty difference on the planet, who have, in their own way, opened up their own heart, taken back their mind from worldly conditions, and are creating a dynamic wave and wakes of transformation and possibility for so many people. Guess I get to have Dr. Espen Wold-Jensen with me today. Hey, brother, how you doing, man?
Oh, it's an honor to be here, man. Thanks so much.
I'm glad that we're together. Let me tell you guys just a little bit about him if you do not know who he is. Researcher in neuroscience and quantum physics, conscious business mentor, multi-figure soulpreneur, who I like that word, who
Mm.
teaches his clients how to use the power of their own consciousness to turn obstacles into opportunities. He went from having 2 broken legs and nearly succumbing to a hospital infection to healing himself from the inside out. We're gonna get into the depth of that story. He has since become a personal development teacher, loving father, and a master of all 8 areas of life. We're going to hear about that. Sought after speaker, conscious business consultant, quantum coach, Dr. Espen provides his students with the same tools and strategies he used to transition from humble beginnings to becoming the co-founder and CEO of multiple 7-figure businesses. He has helped over 250,000 students worldwide to reach their personal and professional potential. His signature event, the Quantum Experience, delivers the same art, science, and application of consciousness that has transformed the lives of clients in over 12 countries through quantum. Brother, good to see you, man.
It's
And
an
this is
honor to
not
be
this
here.
is not our first time being together, but it's always cool. I like being with you, man. You got such a cool energy.
I feel just the same. I was filled with spirit bumps last time. As I say, no goosebumps, but spirit bumps. I feel really great and I'm honored to be here, man. Let's deliver some great value today.
Absolutely. You're in Australia right now, right?
Exactly right.
Right. I want you to tell the folks a little bit about your particular healing. I mean, you had 2 broken legs, infection was setting in. I mean, what shifts and practices took place within your consciousness to provide the healing? Just give us the story. Because I like talking to people who, it's not just theory, but they've had some kind of experience or revelation or transformation so they can actually say, this is what happened to me, and this is the healing that took place.
It's a wonderful story, and I think also important to relate it to everyone watching and listening, because I believe everyone watching and listening has had some sort of challenge in their life. It could be a physical challenge, it could be spiritual, it could be emotional, it could be a relationship challenge. And so if you tune into this, I think you'll find some tools that you might be able to use. So when I first came from Norway to Australia in 2005, I was not aware of the amount of emotional suppression that I had from my upbringing, from two alcoholic parents and a lot of death in the family and a lot of disability in the family growing up. So I was very, I would say, physically strong and mentally and emotionally, or at least certainly emotionally weak. That led to a series of behaviors where I tried to just make myself happy. And one day I remember I was frustrated and very sad because my mother had just been diagnosed with terminal cancer. So
Mm,
I jumped on a motorcycle. I was going way too fast, and I crashed in Melbourne in 2006. I
mm,
fractured both my legs, both my femurs. I had a fracture in the pelvis, a fracture in the spine. The doctors picked me up, stopped the bleeding, saved my life, and put 14 different pieces of metal in my body. Um, I was fine. It took me a couple of months to learn to properly walk again, but I was okay. And then a year later, I went back to the hospital in Melbourne in Australia to take all the metal out, and that's when I got a hospital-induced staph infection.
mm.
So yeah, for those who don't know what a staph infection is, it's a multi-resistant Staph aureus infection. Means that it's a bacterial infection that eats away at your flesh and does not
Mm,
respond at all to antibiotics. And so I got this infection in 2007. I tried, and here's kind of where the lesson leads. I looked continuously outside of myself for answers. So I was asking the doctor, "How am I doing?" I was asking the nurses, "How am I healing?" I was taking the drugs for the drugs to fix me, and even though that was what was prescribed to me, and I was seeking validation and healing on the outside. And I fought for my life with the staph infection for a year and 2 months. I had
wow.
lost 15 kilos at that time, and I remember like it was yesterday. I knew that I was dying, Michael. I
Mm,
looked in the mirror and I looked like I hadn't eaten for months. I was so skinny, I was pale, I was depleted, and I could feel my life force leaving. And I remember having a thought, maybe it's time for me to go home and be with my brother. Because I remember finding my brother passed away when I was only a child.
mm,
And then a couple of days later, I was in hospital, and the surgeon looked at me and he said, "Hey, the infection's spreading." He said, "We have to amputate your leg. If we can amputate your leg from the right hip and down, we can stop the infection. And then you'll live. If we don't do that, then you're going to die."
mm,
In that moment, my two greatest fears were realized: that I would, one, become permanently disabled like my little sister,
mm,
or that I would die like my little brother.
mm,
And in that moment, for the first time in my life, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, my higher self came through. And I felt it. It literally came straight through my crown
mm,
into my being, and gave me a message. And the message was, if it is to be, it's up to me. Go
mhm,
home and breathe.
mm,
And it was I had lived in constant fear for a year and a half, not knowing, will I survive? Will I be disabled? What will happen? And in that moment, I felt nothing but certainty, peace, stillness, and grace. And all of my fear dissipated. And it wasn't a belief. I didn't need to believe anything. It was a full knowing. And so the surgeon walked out of the hospital. I literally ripped the intravenous out of my arms. I left the hospital and I walked home and I sat up on my bed and I started doing a very specific type of breathing that I've now shared with 250,000 people around the world.
mhm.
And having this infection for a year and 2 months, trying everything. And point being, if you break your legs, don't meditate or do breath work. Go to the hospital, get the care that you need, and then
Right,
meditate. Right.
right,
So
right,
I'm not
right.
saying don't use medical care, but I'm saying we don't really have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system. Sick
Absolutely.
care system has a place, but it's not a healthcare system. And so the gift from God, the gift from spirit, whatever you want to call it, was that I had to almost lose my life twice so
Mm,
that I could gain the most powerful tool that I've ever received in my life, which is the scientific, and it's now proven, of course, the innate intelligence that exists in the body, the power that makes the body heals the body. That is what heals you. No one else heals you. Doctors can help, but you are the healer. And that was my gift. And I've got two strong legs, and I've been on a mission to share this with the world ever since.
absolutely. I'm gonna ask 2 things. One, this thing that came over you that said, "Go home and breathe." I mean, at this particular point in your life, did you have some kind of spiritual practice, or was this just grace at this particular moment that just I mean, like when I woke up spiritually, it happened, it was very dramatic, it was graceful. I didn't necessarily have a spiritual practice, but something happened to me and I woke up. Was yours similar or were you practicing something?
I would say very similar to yours. I didn't really have a practice as such, and I used to say that I wasn't connected. I was connected, but I felt disconnected. So it was a jolt to awaken me to remember that
Mhm.
who I am and who and what God is, and if God's on your side, who could ever be against you, kind of thing.
Right. So that you listened. Because I
Yeah.
suspect that people do have kind of like insights or wisdom and guidance, but may not listen. But here
Mhm.
you were on a deathbed, so to speak. This thing comes over you and tells you, go home and breathe. And you actually did it.
Yeah, I
And
didn't have a
so,
choice. I mean, I tried to, well, maybe I had a choice, but I didn't feel like I had a choice. I tried everything.
right.
I listened to the doctors and the surgeons and I took the drugs and I did everything. And I would realize I was just getting sicker and sicker. I was on antibiotics for a year.
Right, right. That's a
Like,
lot.
how crazy is that?
And antibiotics,
Yeah. Anti-life. Thank you.
anti-life drugs.
Unbelievable.
Got to kill stuff. Well, let me ask you this: when you went home and started breathing, did you have a particular technique at the time, or did you develop one over time? I mean, what kind of breath did you do? Did you something you studied, or did you just intuitively go in?
I received it.
Okay.
This is why I've never taken credit for the breathwork that I share. I'm but a custodian, but a messenger, but a channel, if that. And
Mhm,
so the breath that I received was really simple. I was told to sit up and to breathe vigorously in and out through the mouth. And I
mhm,
had never done that before. I
mhm,
did pranayama. I was practicing and teaching yoga at the time, but I had no idea of this breath. And so,
mhm,
in the beginning, I thought this is technology from a past life.
mhm,
And then I thought, well, maybe this is from a higher, I don't know what it is. But what I now know is that it came through me for a reason, and that's to share it with the world. And so I was breathing in and out as deep breathing, like
mhm.
fully in and fully out. And what I was shown, Michael, which was, I didn't know what this was at the time. I was shown the torus field,
Ah,
right? Which, for those who don't know, this is the scientifically proven electromagnetic field that we are. Every person has and is a living torus field. The Earth is a giant living torus field. North
mhm,
pole, South pole, battery plus and a minus, us, masculine, feminine, electric, magnetic. And so I was shown this torus field and I was shown to breathe in through the bottom and out through the top in alignment with the torus field.
mhm,
And I did. And I remember passing out on my bed and I woke up and I felt great. I felt no fear at all. And then
mhm.
I kept on doing it 2, 3 times the first day, 2, 3 times the second day. And I kept on improving. And what I noticed is that I had this hole on the side of my hip that had been open for a year and 2 months.
Mhm.
And it sounds disgusting, so close your eyes if you're sensitive, but close your ears if you're sensitive, but it was literally leaking blood and pus liters every day. But when I
Mhm.
started doing this breathing, the hole would begin to close off. And I
Mhm.
thought to myself, wow, I've tried everything. The only thing that worked that well was fasting and meditation and prayer was the only thing that really worked that well. And then staying away from toxins, obviously. But
Right.
it had almost closed after 2 days. I thought, wow, I don't know what this is, but I'll keep going. 3.5 weeks I breathed like that, completely healed myself.
This is powerful. Lily, I'm gonna go back to this because you said you were shown. So
Yeah,
how were you shown? You were shown to breathe from the bottom up,
yeah.
and how were you shown?
It was a knowing.
Okay,
I
inner
didn't
knowing.
hear a voice. I didn't see. Well, I did see the Taurus field, but it
Mhm,
wasn't. It was a knowing. It was as if I had done it so many times before, but I had just hadn't done it for a long time. And so
mhm,
I sat up and I was like, I knew what to do. I knew to relax my jaw, to relax my body. I knew that I would experience some tingling sensations and electricity or energy moving through my hands.
mhm,
And as I was breathing, it's like I knew how to do it. I don't know when I was taught it before, or if it's
mhm,
something from another
mhm,
dimension or whatever it is. But yeah, it was very interesting. And one of the most interesting things, just to drop that in there, was that I had no idea as to the amount of emotional suppression, the emotional issues in my tissues that I had suppressed over the years. And as
Yes.
I started breathing, these things were coming out. And I'm having visions of finding my brother, passed away, like finding a blue baby,
Yes.
and visions of being bullied at school. And I was like, this has nothing to do with my physical disease, does it? And then I realized later it has everything to
Yes.
do with it.
Mhm.
And so I kept on breathing and I was releasing and I was crying and I was
Mhm.
wailing.
Yeah.
3.5 weeks, Michael. I've got 2 legs.
So you were basically doing a connected deep breath with no space in
Yep,
between the breath, in and out through the mouth,
correct.
which
I
does
know you
exactly.
got some experience with this.
Oh, oh,
Exactly right.
oh, absolutely. So basically, what you just said is absolutely true. You actually, when that connected breath is happening, you actually tease out that which is in your psyche and in your tissues that's been stuck there because it has coagulated energy that's just condensed itself that ultimately becomes symptoms, it becomes disease, it can become mental perceptions that can create havoc, etc. So you, for 3 weeks, you did this 2, 3 times a day
Yep.
that cleansed your psyche and cleansed your tissues so that the body could be the ripe condition to heal.
Yes.
Because as I like to teach, the body can heal anything if it's in the right condition. It's
Amen, brother.
so that's what you proved, 'cause I imagine during this time, since you were a yogic practitioner, I imagine you were doing, proper nutrition, proper hydration, et cetera, as best you could,
Yeah.
and now you added the breath component to it, which cleansed you so that the
Yeah.
body temple could heal itself.
Amen. And you know what? It's so beautiful to have conversations like this because, so many people out there are stuck in disease. And
Yeah.
if they only knew that they had the power to turn that around without waiting for saviors or looking outside of themselves. Again, if you need to have your prescribed medication because you really need it, don't change your regime because of this podcast. But what if you are the healer? What if there's an innate intelligence, a power in you that is
Yes.
so vast that if and when you tap into it, there is absolutely nothing you cannot heal and nothing you cannot achieve? If the top is just the bottom of your potential, how would you live if that was the case? That's a great question to ask ourselves, perhaps.
I like that question because I always, tell people to be careful about the questions you ask,
Mm,
and to ask empowering questions so the universe can answer those questions rather than the why me questions. So I like what you just said. How can you turn what is that the top to
What if the top is just the bottom
bottom of
of
your
your
potential?
potential?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a great question to ask. So
Mm,
then the universe will start answering that question, and it will compel you into transformation, into a
mm,
greater expression of yourself. You
mm.
also like to say, turning your pain to power. You like
Yeah.
to reframe that, to break that down for us a little bit.
This is a great one. You know what? When I do my events and I teach, similar to what you do, in front of a group of people, I'm honored to have a voice where people, apparently want to listen. And then I always ask the question, "What do you believe about yourself?"
Mhm,
And I give them 2 scenarios. I say, scenario number one is for you if you believe that you're only flesh and bone, you are only the body, you are only matter, and that's it. There's
mhm,
no spirit. And scenario number two is for you if you believe that inside of you there is a spirit, a soul, or some sort of consciousness, that there is more to you than just the physical experience, right? And then
mhm,
I ask my students, please raise your hand for scenario one, and hardly any hand goes up.
mhm.
All right. And then
Not
I
not
say,
at your conference.
and some of them are like, oh, maybe they should. Maybe they believe that they don't have the balls to. Nobody, you know what? Thousands and thousands of people, 99% of people raise their hand for scenario two. And they say, I believe that there is more to me than just matter. Okay. And then I say, go ahead and write it down. So if you're listening to this now, just say it out loud. What do you
Mhm,
believe? Do you call it a soul? I say the soul is the state of unconditional love. Do you believe that you are a soul in the human experience? Do you call it spirit? Do you call it consciousness? Do you want to keep it scientific and call it the quantum field or the
mhm,
unified field? You can choose, right?
mhm.
Some people call it God. I'm a unique fractal of divine intelligence and source.
Right, right,
You may choose your whatever. But the point is, when we define who, so the question is, who am I, right?
right.
I am that I am. When I define that which I am, which is the eternal consciousness embodied in temporary time, a fractal of divinity having a temporary experience, when
Mhm,
I remember, put together the parts and the pieces, I then can look at every single incident in my life. And instead of saying that happened to me, I'm a victim of it, you know that there is some sort of divine design in the universe. there is some sort of intelligence at play. This we know. This has
Mhm,
been scientifically proven. This
mhm,
intuitively is
mhm.
accurate. We know this. So then we can go back, Michael, to every single incident in our life. I can go back to the time where I pick up a blue baby, and even though that was so painful and spun my mother into alcoholism and abuse and, whatever, I can look at every one of those scenarios and not even have acceptance because there's nothing to accept. I can have gratitude because
Mhm.
each one of those experiences was my soul's lesson to get to where I am today. And people say, how can you find benefits in your brother tying? I say, yes. Yeah, guess what? When I wake up today, right foot on the ground, I say thank you. Left foot on the ground, I say I love you because my brother never had that chance. I live truly with so much passion every day to the best of my capacity. And I'm not
Right,
perfect,
right.
but I do that because his life was taken and mine has been given. And I will never take that for granted. And that's more than we can say for most. And so when you re-identify back to the essence of who and what you are, life has happened for you, never to you. And since you can't change the past, you might as well change the meaning. And that's how you turn pain into
The
power.
power, right, right, right. You can't change the past, but you're changing your perception about it. Your your
100%.
your your co your whole positionality about it changes, and so, in fact, quantumly, you're actually changing the past
You are.
because on a soul level, on a spiritual level, nothing has happened. I mean, your brother's
Mm.
alive somewhere.
Yeah. In
He's
another timeline.
yeah,
Exactly
another
right.
timeline, he's unfolding, and
Yeah.
so you shifted your whole perception about it, and so so somebody else may be stuck in the past about a circumstance, but you didn't get stuck in that. You actually changed your whole reference point to it, and it became a blessing rather than a curse.
Yeah. After having, lived as a victim for 20 years,
Mhm.
right? It was 20 years where I was like, the imprint was, mom was saying, God, why did you do this to us? And
Right.
it's like, why did I grow up in that household? Why did I do and whatever? And then that's what I'm saying. Like the emotional suppression that I had was so much guilt, shame, and fear. These are the lower frequency emotions that really make us sick.
Right.
It's fear, guilt, shame, and grief. They're the
Right.
primary ones. And they are issues in the tissues and they create a disease because you got to remember again, as I say, the emotions are the language of the body. And when we don't emotion, when we don't have our energy, emotion, when we can't express, let go, then it gets stuck in there and the body never makes a mistake. So, yeah, 20 years I carried unnecessary rocks in my backpack, but having let them go, I now remember and I can look back with so much gratitude for all of those things because it gives me compassion for those that I serve today. And it's a system that works for every single person every single time. If we just decide to re-identify back with who we are, and you mentioned questions, yeah, you change
Right.
your question, you change your life. The question is not
Absolutely.
how did that happen to me. The question is how is this happening for me.
For me. Absolutely. Now, both of us have used the word quantum.
Hmm.
When you say the word quantum, what do you mean for our audience?
It's a great question. There's a massive hype around quantum.
Yeah.
Honestly, quantum for me just means the fact that everything is energy.
Yeah.
Everything is energy. So if you go to your chat GPT and you ask what percentage of my atoms are made up of empty space, you're
Mhm.
gonna get the answer 99.9999999% and so on. So scientifically proven for over 100 years since Max Planck won the Nobel Prize for
Mhm.
this topic that we're discussing, we have known that we are made up of energy. Okay. And everything is wave, not particle. That means everything is continuously in flux and in flow, and the moment we place our attention upon it, it collapses what's called the wave function and it becomes a physical reality. So quantum means that everything is energy. And if you want to master your life, master your health, master your mind, master your business, master your finances and your relationships and so on, we have to, as I say, understand that
Mhm.
everything is energy and that all
Mhm.
these different areas of life are unique expressions of ourself. And so if we then want to change them, we change our energy. And then we go from, as I say, fear to love,
Right.
guilt to gratitude, shame to
Right.
self worth, grief to grace. And once we go through these alchemical process of emotional healing, we will recognize that we don't have to fix our relationship. We just have to learn to love ourselves, the world, and everything and everyone else more than we are healing our relationships. So it's not pointing fingers saying you are doing this. No, if I can open up my heart to its fullest capacity, everything will be healed, because that external is a reflection, projection, or a mirror of me and my own state of consciousness. So that's my version of quantum, is that everything is energy. Change your energy, change your life.
Absolutely. I was answering a question earlier today where a woman was writing and asking me about, she's come from a very traditional Christian background, devil, heaven, hell, this type of thing.
Mhm.
And she was asking about, well, how can I pray to a vibration and to get an
Mhm.
answer? So
Mhm.
I had to break it down to her. If you want to use the language of Jesus, God is spirit. You must worship God in spirit and in truth. So the quantum field is pure energy. It's pure spirit. And then if you say, pray believing that you have, that you may receive, you're actually lifting your own vibration. You're not convincing God of anything. You're not trying to change God. You're
Mm.
lifting your own vibration in gratitude to accept that which is already here in the quantum field or in the
Yeah.
field of infinite potential. So you're
Mm.
not like, God, please do this for me. You're like basically moving your awareness into the feeling tone that what you're praying for, you already have it. You're lifting
Yeah.
your frequency, as you just said. And
Mhm.
then what looks like an answer is more of a revelation because you've expanded your awareness to that which is. So I like the fact that we're living in a time and an age where we do have quantum science, we do have evolutionary biology, we do have epigenetics. All of these sciences are corroborating what we've been teaching for years.
Mm.
This life is alive, it's everywhere, and we are emanations of it. And so the joy, the gratitude, the ecstasy, the bliss that we move ourselves into through prayer, through breath, allows us to be so receptive to the gifts of the Spirit. I like talking with you because I can feel your energy. It's like, woo,
Mm.
it's not just mental, and I don't put down the mental. It's not just mental, but your energetic vibration is very embodied. It's very embodied.
Thank you, Michael. That means so much to me. And
Yeah.
honestly, what I'm getting in my mind and in my heart right now,
Mhm.
I'm like, listeners and viewers, if this has been useful, when was the last time you attended Agape? Log in, log in every week, put it in the calendar, because we're in the presence of an integral, congruent teacher of light. And there has been so much over the years from my experience. The texts have been tainted, the teachings have been tainted, and so much of it is, like you said, heaven and hell. If you don't do this and this, you will go, there and there. I find, Michael, honestly, when I speak with you, I have the same experience. I feel so much grace in my being. I feel so much joy in my heart when I hear you speak or preach, and I'm just like, I need to go to Agape. I need to go to Agape. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for what you're
Well, we're gonna
doing, man.
reserve that seat for you as soon as you get into town.
Amen. I will be there. And before I do that, I know that we can join also virtually,
Oh, just come
So
online, absolutely. But this is my interview is about you. I wanna
okay,
know
thank you.
but I appreciate everything you're saying because, Agape will be 40 years young next year, you know what I mean? And so there's a lot of celebration these next couple of years. Our 39th is in November, then 40 the next year. There's a lot
Mm,
of celebration around that dynamic that we've been in existence that long as a community,
thank you.
through all of the vicissitudes that the human beings have gone through. We've been rock solid in lifting consciousness so
Mm,
people can navigate differently rather than from fear and worry and doubt, anxiousness, anxiety. They can actually tap into a potential that exists right now,
yeah,
even with all the vicissitudes that are happening in the world. Nothing has changed on the quantum level.
exactly.
And we get to choose. We get to choose. But I wanted to ask you about your advanced seminars. You have these 3-day quantum. I'm gonna read this. Advanced seminar measures which outcomes real-time biometrics and nervous system repatterning. Which metrics shift most reliably and how long do these gains last? How do you measure this?
Okay.
I'm answering a question that I kind of know already, but I want my listeners to catch this.
Yeah. So my background started as I started owned and operated multi-disciplinary health clinics. So I was owning and operating clinics with medical doctors, chiropractors, dentists, nurses, naturopaths, yoga teachers, Pilates, and
Mhm.
breathwork and meditation teachers. Okay. And we scaled it to 10 clinics, and we started doing a lot of great research, primarily case studies with our patients. And so we take the average person who would come in, and maybe it was a middle-aged man or, a young woman or, anything in between. And what we'd realized was that most people, as Dr. Bruce Lipton, you've
Mhm.
got great work with him already in the past. As he says, about 95% of all chronic disease happens to be caused by lifestyle, and only 5% of chronic disease can be attributed to what we call genetics. Okay, hence the word
Stress. Yes.
epigenetics. Stress,
Yeah.
exactly. Sum it,
Right.
sum it up with stress. That's spot on. Mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, chemical stress, right? And so we do full blood tests of our patients, X-rays to view their posture nervous system and their spine. We do gut test and gut biome tests with the naturopaths, and we look through all of the data, and then we'd keep them on the same lifestyle as they had, but we'd give them medical care, we'd give them chiropractic care, and we'd give them gut care for through the naturopathy side of things, and they'd practice some yoga. We saw great changes, okay, beyond what you'd normally see in allopathic clinic. But then we started testing something different. And we asked, okay, what happens if we put these individuals, for those who were safe to do so, these were normally um, people that were safe to go through the protocols, of course, put them
Mhm.
on intermittent fasting,
Mhm.
okay? Remove the toxins, the calories, cut the alcohol, cut the sugar, cut the coffee, cut the food-like products, okay? Put them on a breathing routine,
Mm.
okay? And go through, and here's the key, the emotional healing protocols. And I'll get to those in a moment. So we do intermittent fasting off and water fasting, okay? Then we do the breath work, and then we do the emotional healing protocol. 96 out of 100 patients did not need chiropractic, medical care, or a change or supplements from the naturopath when they did those three things.
Mhm. Say the 3 things again.
Okay, so first
Yeah.
things first,
Right.
removing the calories and the processed foods. So
Intermittent fasting.
intermittent fasting into
And how
water.
long? How long is the intermittent fasting?
It depended on the individual, but for
Okay.
most people, they would eat for 8 hours a day and fast for 16.
Okay.
Eating an
It
8-hour window, you'll have more than enough food. The Bible says gluttony. I don't think
yeah.
gluttony is eating 10 meals a day. Gluttony could be eating 3 meals a day.
Mhm.
Gluttony is certainly eating crap food throughout the day. That is certainly gluttony, and it's dangerous
Yes.
because and there's so much science around this now. But you eat for 8 hours, even 6 if you can, and it's different for women during this time of month and so on. So that is to
Mhm.
be advised. But
Mhm.
but in general terms, eat for 8, fast for 16.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and then you go into water fasting. You start with 1 day per week of only having water, which finally gives your digestive system a rest. Once you
Mhm.
get to 2 days or 48 hours of water fasting, the body starts to eat its own cells. That means it's eating up its own cancer cells and so on.
Mhm.
72 hours, autophagy kicks in. Now your
Mhm.
body is really supercharging its healing. On the third day, fourth day of water fasting, you're tapping into super intelligence.
Mhm.
Okay, this is amazing. But again, make sure that it's safe and
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
appropriate to do so. But unbelievable how effective it is.
Mm.
Okay, so the first thing is intermittent fasting into water fasting. Second thing, breath work, which is what I've shared with the world. It's the thing that gave me back my life. And I've seen it, Michael. I've seen people, and I've got hundreds of case studies on videos, chronic disease, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, chemical, whatever it is, we can clear it in under an hour. And I'm not saying it will be, I'm saying it happens every single time. 75% of our students have a full out of body spiritual healing experience that's light. They feel
Mhm.
light coming into
Mhm.
their system.
Mhm.
And when light comes in, darkness can't stay.
Right. Well, there's so many things going on in the world right now, and there are individuals experiencing a level of anxiety or anxiousness about what's going on in the political scene, what's going on in the world. Meditation provides the context for you to have a real inner sense of peace, not a neglect about what's going on in the world, but a peace within yourself that you can be open to wisdom and guidance and direction from your own soul as to how to move and navigate through the world as it appears to be. I'm here with an invitation for you to join me December 29th through January the 2nd. It's our annual spiritual meditation retreat, and it's the first time in a while that we're actually back in person. You want to come and contemplate the divine within yourself. We're going to be at a beachfront retreat center in Costa Rica. It's going to be wonderful food, wonderful amenities. You're going to want to be there in this dynamic spiritual family that will emerge based around meditation, affirmative prayer, life visioning, yoga, and wonderful surprises, I'm sure. I'm Michael B. Beckwith. Come be with me December 29th through January 2nd. Register today. You're not going to regret it. You're going to give thanks to yourself for taking this bold step in your own transformation. Peace and blessings. This is the practice that you used.
Yeah.
The full connected in the mouth, out the
Yeah.
mouth, full breaths.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's many different types of breathing,
Yes.
4 different conditions. As I say, instead of there's a pill for that, I said there's a breath for that. So there is a certain type of breath, 4 different conditions and different areas of life. Yes. But one of the conscious connected, it's not, that's one name of a type of technique. For mine, it's called quantum breath. And it's
Right.
using different techniques. One of them is a similar to conscious connected. Yes.
Mhm.
So breathwork is the second one, a specific regime. And again, think about this. The first thing you do when you're born is you take a breath. The last thing you do before you leave the human temple is take your breath. Breath, air, and spirit in many indigenous languages is the same word. God is in the air.
Right.
Yeah, when you learn to breathe, you super oxygenate the body. You bring in energy, life force, chi, prana to the body. You bring in light to the body. When you fill the body and being with light, cannot be any disease. So
Right.
it's not us healing anyone, but when the person increases energy, frequency, and vibration in every cell of their body, there's no room for darkness, aka there's no room for disease.
Eliminates the toxins and allows the light to flow in. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
You know, and 70% of our detoxification happens through our breath. And most people, they're not sick, they're just not breathing properly,
Right.
which is why they become diseased.
Right.
Right. So it's not black or white, but I'm giving you like the highest level
No,
in
absolutely.
possible time.
Absolutely.
So intermittent fasting, water fasting, number 1, breath work, specific protocols of breathing, number 2, and the third one is the emotional healing protocols. The issues are in the tissues. This is psychosomatic disease. And most people don't know that they make those decisions that they make, you know, addiction or certain kinds of behavior based on emotion.
Right.
Right. So when we can clear the lower frequency emotion from the body and being, automatically we come up to a higher level of energy, frequency, and vibration. But we have many different decisions. You know, people say, I want to eat healthy, but then, you know, a month later, I'm still eating crap again. Why? Because you felt not good. If you have a lower frequency emotion, if you feel guilt or shame or fear or anxiety, well, guess what? You reach for that sugar because it gives you a dopamine hit.
Right.
But if you feel great in your body and being, you don't need the alcohol or the smoking or the crap food because you just don't feel like it. So the third part, which is the whole protocol in itself, which is what I do at my events, is the deep emotional healing that takes place.
And so what's some of the protocols around that? I
Okay,
mean,
I'll give you one.
yeah, at an event, what would you do?
Yeah, so basically, so in my model, there are 8 areas of life. And I
Yes.
saw in a wonderful vision that there are 8, I work with 8 energy centers, also known as chakras, if you will.
Yeah.
And each of these energy centers are connected to an area of life. Just like we know an organ is connected to a certain function, but everything works in coherence and in homeostasis. So I found an ancient model in the Upanishads that showed that a primary lower frequency emotion specifically blocks a energy center. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you the first 4. Fear blocks the root energy center,
Mm-hmm.
which is the most dangerous thing for your physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Fear, stress, aka, like you just mentioned. Guilt blocks the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Shame blocks the third one. Grief blocks the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I wrote, so basically, long story short, I went through all these case studies in clinic from 2010 to 2016. In 2016, I exited from the business. I resigned from clinical practice and I started traveling the world and I started teaching it because, like I said, with medical care, and I'm not talking about when you really need medical care, I'm talking about chronic disease that can be like the 95%, for example. When we took the intermittent fasting, the breath work, and the emotional healing, we had better results than combination of medical care, chiropractic, and naturopathy combined.
Right.
And it
Right.
blew my mind. So I thought, you know what? If I can teach this to the world, like to be clear, you need a good functional MD, like an integrative MD. You need that on your team. You need
Yeah.
a good chiropractor because guess what? God is in your spine. Energy flows through your spine. You need to have a healthy spine, and not
Right.
any chiropractor, a good chiropractor. And you need a good naturopath or the integrated physician that can do all the gut biome tests, because most people don't know that they're walking around with parasites and their gut biosis is completely off. So you
Right.
need those. But what if you had the key inside of you? Intermittent fasting, you save money.
Mhm.
Doesn't cost you anything. Don't tell me you can't afford it, right?
Oh,
Breath work.
absolutely.
Breath work. It's hidden right underneath your nose. It's a
Right, right,
superpower.
right,
No one
right,
taught
right,
you how to use it. Don't tell me it's
right.
going to cost you money.
To
No,
br
it's
to
going to
breathe.
cost you if you don't,
Right.
right? And yeah, and the third one, obviously, which is the emotional healing. Yeah, that costs money if you want to do it with us or with someone else. But trust me, the
Mhm.
ROI, the return on investment on that, or my gosh. And so, yeah, we're just being handed back the keys. And so, what I do is I take people, let's say fear, for example, the first one, right?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, yeah.
Which
People
is
are in fear right now. A lot of people they have emotional anxiety and fear around the economics that is happening around the world and in wars and things of that particular nature. Yeah.
yeah. And we've been very conditioned to live in fear. We can go back less than 10 years and there was continuously fear on the news every day.
Right.
And this is the ultimate missing the mark,
Right.
because fear is an illusion.
Absolutely.
Right. It's an absolute illusion, but it is the great trick for some controllers, because if you're stuck in fear and survival, you're very easy to control.
Absolutely.
You can't access the executive center of the brain. You can't open your heart. You're living in the lower states of consciousness. You're operating in the three lower energy centers.
Right. And
And
then
when you're operating in the lower energy centers, you're continuously in survival and you're really easy to control.
right. And then you get seduced and intimidated and provoked into polarization and separation with other people. You end up being enemies with people you would never be enemies with unless you were being controlled by your fear, by other people manipulating you like you're a puppet.
Yeah. And this is the thing. I like the word puppet. Most people are sheeple. We're walking
Yeah.
around sleeping.
Right.
Okay. This is extremely important, because you are a sovereign being. You get to choose what you focus on. You get to choose what you pay attention to.
Yes.
And fear is just, as you know, false evidence appearing real.
Right.
As I say, you can forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. You
Right.
can step into your power by knowing that you don't need to live in fear. We're not designed to live in fear. The hindbrain is designed to be, in effect, a very small percentage of time for you to get out of danger, but then let it go. And this is why breathwork is so powerful, because it can reset the nervous system in such a short period of time. So let's take this example of fear, right? Most
Yeah.
people, as we know, in the first 7 to 10 years, but primarily the first 7 years of life, is what we call the imprint period.
Hmm.
So when the child is born, and the first few months, it's not even aware that it's outside of the womb, and then for the first, second, third year of life, and so on, it's completely absorbing the energy of the environment around. So as Bruce Lipton says, about 95 to 98% of how we perceive reality today were coded in the first 7 years of life. And so that means also then that if you look at your greatest fear today, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, and therefore I won't be loved.
Hmm.
Or there's going to be a financial collapse and I'll lose everything.
Hmm.
You won't lose everything. You'll lose whatever you need to lose to learn that losing that was not necessarily the biggest problem and you're still alive.
Right.
So whatever it might be, and again, this is simplifying it, but when you go through it, you realize that when you let go of fear, the truth will appear.
Hmm.
And the truth is that you are a divine being and you are guided, protected, and loved, particularly if you're operating from that frequency. So what we need to, and what we realized is that the majority of the work that we did, and when we did breath work with people, what came up, tell me about the trauma. Let's integrate this properly. It,
Hmm.
it came from the first 7 years of life.
Hmm.
Again, 95% at
That's where
least.
the belief came from. Absolutely.
That's where the program came from.
Right. The program.
Most
Right.
people think they have a money problem. They don't. They have a money program.
Program.
They think they
Right.
have a relationship problem. Don't have a relationship problem. They have a relationship program. So all of
Absolutely.
these programs are coming from the early stages of life. So I'll give you an example. So what I do with my students for one of these, right, is I talk about fear. I talk about the frequency of fear. On the Hawkins scale, it oscillates at about
Right.
100.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
0 is death, and 700 is enlightenment, depending on how you look at the scale. When we were in COVID, we collectively were at 100 or 75 on the scale. It was rampant
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah, we were kind of oddballs at that time.
Yeah, and
'Cause I was I
exactly.
was 'cause I was a free being, you know,
Yeah,
I was out, I never closed myself in, I just went out and did everything I needed to do and
yeah.
tried to be a beneficial presence everywhere I went, but I did not succumb, to being locked down, with healthy people. It was silly. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's so refreshing to have this conversation because if you had this conversation some years ago, people are like, "Oh, how dare you?" It's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm aware that there are things at play. I say God and the devil are playing chess,
Mhm.
and God has already won, and it's
Mhm.
checkmate in 7 moves. All the devil can do is to delay the game. That was one chess move.
I guess I think there's a great picture of God and the devil playing chess. I can't remember where it is.
I've seen it.
Have you seen
Yes.
it? And it's
Wow.
and people are saying it's called checkmate, and they think the devil has won. But when you look at the board, the king has one more move. The king
Mm.
always has one more move.
Don't worry. If we just study the cycles and the seasons, and you'll see which season that we're in.
Yeah,
The 26,000-year cycle that Plato referred to as the Great Year ended December 2012. From
right,
that, we're receiving more light upon this atmosphere than we have in thousands of years.
right.
The light is returning. Fear not. Okay.
Absolutely. Fear not,
I
little
dig
flock.
I digress.
Yeah, I
So
know both of us digressed,
I
but
know
listen,
we could go for hours,
go
bro.
back into that fear exercise again.
Okay, so the first thing, step number one, you need to be aware that you're aware. So what we do is we close our eyes. We take our students through a meditation process where we pull the mind out of the body,
Mhm,
and then we go back in time. So we're staying at 2 meters or 6 feet
mhm.
above the individual, and we're going back across the timeline. We're observing ourselves then getting younger.
Right.
Okay. And then we're observing ourselves at any point in the past. And again, the majority of people, at least 8 out of 10, will go to the first 7 years of life.
Mhm.
But it could be, 3 years ago, their biggest fear. So let's say we go back and then you close your eyes and then go to the moment where you experience your biggest trauma or fear. And we've got permission from the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, and also permission to guide them through the experience. So they've got access to the conscious, unconscious, and superconscious. There's nothing that they don't know at this time.
Right.
So we pull the mind out of the body, we go back in time. And then they hover above the timeline at 6 feet. And then they go to the moment of the strongest memory of trauma or fear. And then, boom, we drop them into that experience safely.
Right.
All right. And now they're 6 again, or 10 again, or whatever it is. And they're feeling it fully. And they're in the experience. So they're observing it from 2 meters above so that they're disassociated. They can keep their consciousness at an expanded state, but they're also in the body at the same time. So associated and disassociated at the same time, in both timelines at the same time, which is super awareness, right? When this happening, they're feeling it and they're experiencing, their mother or their father or whatever the situation is. And we've done so in a safe way. We've got permission. We're holding this space. We're really locking down the frequency in the room at this point. We're banishing any evil entity and
Mhm,
energy
mhm,
here. That
mhm.
we're holding this in all this space in divine grace as much that we can, because this is an experience where we are taking the room of hundreds and hundreds of people interfere at the same time. It's a very dense experience. But as I say, you must feel it to heal it, because most people have emotionally and spiritually bypassed. So this
Right.
is our moment to feel it fully.
Right.
Never have to feel it like that ever again, which is the somatic type of the experience, of course. And so we sit with it, we feel it fully, and then we double the intensity, we triple the intensity, we 10x the intensity, and people sitting there going, "Rah," and they finally get to express what has been suppressed for so long.
Mhm.
And then we pull the mind out of the body again, 6 feet, come back into the current timeline, 3, 2, 1, open up your eyes and write it down. And so they're writing out, I was 6 years old, I was bullied at school, or this happened, or this happened. Then they're finally getting to process that memory, the subconscious program, and they're writing it out. And because they're writing it with the pen, it takes a while while it's processing to write it out. And then I asked them the same question we talked about earlier. Okay, what do you believe about yourself? One, that you're only flesh and bone, or two, that you're a spirit having a human experience. Okay, great. No, yeah, remember, I'm a soul. Okay, well, if you are a soul, is it then plausible that that happened for you? Yes, it is. Okay, so what happens? And this is very interesting. Then I teach how the brain has become polarized.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're stuck in the hindbrain, in the lower brain. And when you're stuck in the hindbrain, you can't access the higher executive center of the brain. And so when you're stuck in the lower mind, what you perceive, you receive. And so you're looking continuously around you for things that are dangerous because
Right.
you're stuck in the frequency of fear. That's your pattern, that's your program. And so now they write out, okay, great. So it happened for me, not to me. And then we go into the process. And I tell the story of Oprah, actually, of how one day when she was interviewed on TV, they asked her, and I'll paraphrase, what is the most incredible experience you've had? And she said, the sexual and physical abuse that started at the age of 9.
Mm.
And people go, what do you mean? And then she says, because if it was not for this experience, I would not have found the strength inside of me to do what I do today.
Hmm.
Right. And so that's why she's influenced so many people in so many positive ways as well. And
Right.
so I share a story of that. And then I say, okay, well, since you can't change the past, you might as well change the meaning. I get people sit up and they breathe. We stand up. We do a big somatic release, like a big cathartic scream. And
Hmm.
we process it and we shake it out of the body because we need to get it out of the body.
Hmm.
Right. Then we sit down and I get them to write down how life happened for them or to them. There's 2 columns. On the left-hand side is drawbacks. On the right-hand side is benefits. Drawbacks, I want them to write 3 things, 3 drawbacks. Tell me 3 bad things that happened. Okay, so found my brother dead. My mom became an alcoholic. There was emotional suppression and there was so-called abuse. 3, easy. I could give you 1,000, Michael, because I've at this point, I was going to say the patient, but the person at this point has normally spent decades
Yeah.
unconsciously firing and wiring that they're a victim of what happened. So they've got 1,000 drawbacks in their mind as to how life happened to them,
Right.
because that's
Right.
the
Right.
survival mind, that's the hindbrain. So we swap it. So we want to depolarize the brain, want to create coherence between the 2 hemispheres. So on the right hand side, we write benefits. So what are the benefit? Okay, so the benefit of my brother dying was that I took life as something so precious. Okay, well, that's
Hmm.
the benefit. It made me more patient, more loving, more caring, more compassionate, more discerning. And the longer I go and the deeper I go in terms of the benefit, now I know inside of my being that life didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And I feel grateful. I don't have acceptance only. I feel grateful. And now for the first time, I have reprogrammed from fear to fuel, from
Right.
pain to purpose. And then we do movement and we do breath. And then we have a lovely break. And then we do a sharing circle in our teams as to what this means for us. And then we move through 7 more. So that's how we do the emotional healing protocols.
Yeah, that's powerful. You're reminding me of a lot of things I would do in my workshops. We we
Yeah,
we we
right.
we we do a very, very similar dynamic, having people actually go back and look and, what gift do you have today because
Mm,
your father was such and such, or this happened in your life, and begin to describe that particular gift that birthed out of the
mm.
darkness, apparent negativity. Yeah, that's great work, man. That's great work. It's
Yeah. And I thank you for what you're doing as well. And remember, God never sends great challenges to small soldiers.
Yeah. And
The
the
greater
and
the
and
challenge, the greater the hero.
absolutely. And the spirit of the living God is bigger than any problem.
Oh,
Your problem is afraid of your potential, and,
yes.
that's what we're seeking to activate.
Oh,
And so is this some of the work you're doing with, I see here, the James Cook University?
so that was a research project. So what we
Mhm,
just discussed is the
mhm.
quantum advanced curriculum.
Right.
3 days, 8 areas of
And you
life.
go 8 areas for through those 3 days, doing exactly that process,
Yeah.
going through the timeline,
Yeah.
going into it, having them feel it, coming back, describing it, having a sense of catharsis around it, and then reframing it, getting the blessing out of it,
Yeah.
celebrating it.
Exactly. For the first 4 areas of life or the 4 energy centers from the root to
Yeah,
the heart, we go back in time.
right.
So we deal with the
Yeah.
timeline of the past. For the throat, which is the truth center, the truth is there is no time.
Mhm,
So we deal with the present moment and what's real
mhm.
for us now.
Yeah,
From the pineal gland and up, we deal with the designing the future of our dreams. When we get to the
absolutely.
soul star,
Mhm.
we do the final breath, which fills the body and being with light. And this is similar to what I did with Gaia, but I didn't do all the breakthroughs. I just did the breath work. So
Mhm.
there's 8 breath work ceremonies coming out with Gaia on the 2nd of January 2026. So even if you don't get access to the Quantum Advanced, which you can get access to online or come to our events, you can still do the breath work in many ways.
Yeah, no, that's powerful because people don't understand that when you deal with Newtonian physics, you're basically dealing with the cause and effect. The
Yeah.
past is causing the present, but when you go to the quantum field, the future and your destiny is in there as well. and it's already in existence. So you can place your attention on your potential and let that be a strange attractor field pulling you rather than just being pushed by your past experience. So I see what you're doing in terms of breaking it down from the lower to the upper. You're actually going into the field of the potential and letting that pull you into expression. Great work.
Exactly. And Stem, thank you, brother. And in summary, well, I'm not fixing anyone.
Mhm.
I'm not curing anyone. I'm showing them the power of their consciousness to remove interference. Because there is an intelligence in you and you're not sick, you're not broken, but there is interference. If you can remove interference, as in pulling out the 8 primary splinters of your energy system, you will already occupy a higher oscillation of energy. And from that state, you'll manifest very differently compared to if you're living in survival and fear.
Absolutely. I like to say you're eliminating the static on the line so you can catch
Mm.
the full broadcast of the spirit that's broadcasting, let there be life everywhere. Yeah, it's great work, man. You're bridging science and spirituality. Anything else you want to say about that Gaia experience so people know about it?
Well, yeah, if people want to learn more, you can go to my Instagram. You can go to my website, Dr. Espen, which is espen.com. But Gaia, yeah, that's coming out on my birthday, 2nd of January, 2026. It is called Quantum Breathwork. So if you have a Gaia membership, I know, Dr. Michael, you've got a lot of great stuff on there as well.
Yeah.
You can go to Gaia, I think GAIA.com, and type in Quantum Breathwork and then pop in there and do it as a ceremony. You could start your year like that. I don't know when this episode will be airing, but imagine starting 2026 or whatever time it is for you watching and listening now with a ceremony. And I would do one a week. So there's 9 episodes. Episode 1 is the science of breathing and the spirit of breath and what this means. And then episode 2 to 9 is a breathwork ceremony itself, where we bring in our guides and we set the intention, we open up to source, and then we breathe with light. And yeah, there's a specific breathwork ceremony for each energy center, aka for each area of life. So that could be a great way to start the year or whatever time it is to set, like a 9-week or an 8-week uh, um, path ahead using the power of breath.
Outstanding. This has been great, man. I really appreciate your presence here today. I think you changed a lot of lives with this all but too brief conversation. Is there anything that's bubbling up within you right now you want to say that perhaps we didn't cover, or your mind might say later, oh, I wish I would have reminded them about that. Is there anything bubbling up?
I'll say 2 things. I'll say one thing first, and then I'll just end it with the second one. I just please, as I share this from my heart, if you're watching, if you're listening, please remember who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember who you are. You're not just the body or the mind. You're the eternal consciousness, an infinite fractal of divine source and pure light.
Mm-hmm.
Remember who you are. And the second thing I want to say is I love you so much. Michael and everyone watching and listening, thank you so much for receiving my frequency and for having me today. It's a real honor.
Beautiful. Now tell them how they can be in contact with you.
Yeah, check out drespen.com. Go to Instagram, dr_Espen. Send me a message, reach out if you have any questions. I've got some courses online. You could learn more. But also, when you step into the truth of your potential, I'll already be there in the field. I'm but a frequency and a mirror of what you're experiencing right now. So yeah, reach out, send me a message if you have any questions, and I'll be honored to help serve in whatever way that I can.
Well, you served a lot today, brother. You served a great meal with some desserts and as well. So I appreciate you, and continue to do the great work, and we'll be in contact soon.
Thank you, brother. And if this has been useful, brothers and sisters, share it with as many people as you can. You never know how far this could go in changing it, maybe even saving a life. So please share it far and wide in the time of the Great Awakening. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. That's it. Peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. And as he just said, spread it, like, subscribe, let everyone know so that you'll be in this bubble of transformation that's occurring on the planet at this time in human history. Peace and blessings.
God bless.
Peace and dynamic blessings. Many of you have written letters about how much you really appreciate the Take Back Your Mind podcast and the life questions. So appreciate those letters. Now, our particular program here, these episodes, it's powered by spiritual purpose, but it also has powerful sponsorship. The primary sponsor is Agape International Spiritual Center. So everything that goes on here, Agape is behind it. So what I want you to do, I want you to support the Take Back Your Mind podcast. Go to agapelive.com, make a donation, put a little indication that you're supporting the podcast in that donation, or text the word give to 424-321-6243. Write the word podcast so we know you're supporting this wonderful program of Take Back Your Mind. The secondary sponsor is Neutralize. This is the company that actually produces my particular supplemental line called AdaptoZen. I have the super greens, I have the Elevate fermented mushrooms, and a number of other products that are emerging. Just go to Neutralize.com, find AdaptoZen, and you know what? Uplift your spirit, uplift your body. Remember to share all of this with your friends and support our wonderful sponsor. Have a beautiful day. As I like to say, peace and blessings be unto you, and welcome to the meditation portion of Take Back Your Mind podcast. This is where we practice so that we become present and available to insights that are always occurring. I want you to hear what I just said. There are insights and revelations, broadcasts that's always happening. Just as there's a broadcast for your television, even when you turn your television set off, that broadcast is still going on. You just don't have the TV on. But there's an eternal broadcast straight from the heart mind of the infinite. Call it God, call it quantum field, call it love, beauty, intelligence. That broadcast is perennial and it is forever. Meditation is one of the ways by which we open ourselves up to catch the broadcast, to be in tune with the broadcast of let there be life, let there be beauty, let there be intelligence, let there be abundance. We become in tune because oftentimes our mind has been hijacked and conditioned by the world. But in meditation, we're creating our own intention and then being hyper-focused on that intention. So we're actually turning the station to the broadcast of the eternal. You like that metaphor? You're turning the station. So instead of just being all open to anything that's just coming in the airwaves of human consciousness, you're becoming more aware, more awake, more in tune with the eternal broadcast that's saying that you matter. You're an emanation of the Most High. There's so much good within you. Your potential is magnificent. So let's do that. Let's turn with that. Let your feet be firmly placed on the ground unless you're in a lotus position. Close your outer eye. Tap in the space between the eyebrows. Gently tap. Say to yourself or out loud, I am willing to see without the use of my physical eyes. I am willing to see without the use of my physical eyes. I am willing to see without the use of my physical eyes. Hands on your lap facing upward. Give yourself permission to take a nice inhalation. Release. Again, inhalation. Release. Again, inhalation. Sustain it. A little bit more air in. Intend to wake up. Release. With your intention to wake up, and you're now in a fortress of solitude based on that last breath that you held. Become aware that you are pure awareness. And notice you can place your attention wherever you want it. Not where the world wants it, but where you want it. Practice right now. Place your attention on your left knee. Notice you can do that. Place your attention on your right elbow. Place your attention in your heart space. Place your attention on your throat. Place your attention back on the space between your eyebrows. Place your attention on the very top of your head, the crown chakra. Notice that you get to place your attention wherever you want it. The world does not control your attention. You do. Now place your attention on your intention to wake up. How do you wake up? By first knowing that you're sleepwalking. And somebody else's dream and opinions, points of view, conditions by the news, that's someone else's dream. Could be your nightmare. You're saying, I am willing to wake up now from a dream of separation. Now with your intention to wake up, feel the vibration of that intention and place your attention right there on the feeling of your intention to wake up. What are you waking up to? Your divinity. What are you waking up to? Life is for you and nothing is against you. What are you waking up to? You are one with the presence of the Most High. You're waking up to this reality. Wake up to the awareness that the universal presence is for you and there's nothing against you. Wake up. Wake up. It is from this awareness that we give thanks for this brief moment of awakening. We give thanks that from this moment on, everything is unfolding in our life, for our life, in a most magnificent way. And it's all happening now. And so it is. Amen. As you slowly open your eyes, just be hyper-focused on gratitude and thanksgiving. And go about your day and watch as mighty miracles take place in your life. Peace and blessings. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for tuning in to Take Back Your Mind. If you want to submit a life question, please do so. Email us at podcast@michaelbeckwith.com, and perhaps one day I'll be answering your question that will touch the lives of so many. If you've enjoyed the show, you might as well submit a 5-star review. You might as well tell your friends and family. Let's spread the love. Until we meet again, maintain your awareness. Take back your mind. Because when you take back your mind, you take back your life. Peace and blessings.